A to the K.
To the K.
To the K. Hello, we are back once again. Welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show. We are Carl and Anthony, and as always, this is Road Dogg with A2theK's little known fact of the week.
Yeah, it is.
You didn't know?
Oh yeah. So Anthony, it's award season. In this week's unique segment, we're going to be hosting the second annual A2theKnees. But Anthony, did you know Uncle Dave has got his own end of year awards? That's right. The Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards.
Really? Not the Melty Awards?
Not the bad Melty Awards. No, I mean, in fairness, his has been going since like 1980 or something, so, you know, but still, they don't hold the prestige of ours, and that's what counts. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to win, you know, a Golden Globe. Everyone wants the Oscar, right? And, you know, that's what we do.
And that's the thing. And we know, like, everyone who won last year were absolutely made up, you know.
Well, exactly.
I think, like, I'm sure they were.
They definitely were. 100%. But
I mean, one of them was even on the show once, so that's good. Not that we were influenced by that at all.
Definitely not. But yeah, so as you know, over the years in the Melties, there's been a number of different categories, but there's only one person to have ever held the privilege of winning both the Best Gimmick Award and the Worst Gimmick Award, Anthony. Any ideas on who that might be?
I assume different years, or could Meltzer just not make his mind up?
Well, as a handy hint, I can tell you, these were won in 2 consecutive years. So in 2019, this individual won the best gimmick, and in 2020, they won the worst gimmick. It's pretty big.
All right, can I cheat and ask, was this a shift in gimmick, or was it the same gimmick but a different opinion the following year?
It was a very similar gimmick, minor changes.
19, you say?
19 and 20. Very
That's
recent.
Tough,
That's tough, that one. That's tough, that one.
That's really tough, that. There we go, cutting our audience in half there, Carl. I don't know, I feel like it might be like, trying to think, 19. Could it be like a big fish, like Roman Reigns? He's always up and down. He's always polarising. Seth?
I can tell you.
Could it be Seth?
I can tell you. He's a big fish. But I can tell you it's neither of them two. Shall I put you out of your misery, tell you who it is?
Yeah.
The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. So he won the 2019 Best Gimmick Award and then won the 2020 Worst Gimmick Award. So
was that Burnt Face Fiend that they didn't like?
Burnt Face Fiend. Anyone who hasn't checked out Burnt Face, man, it's high quality entertainment.
I don't have that power. What a weird cartoon that was. In the best kind of way.
Certainly was. But yeah, it's quite an interesting one, that, isn't it? Like, you know, obviously they burnt him alive in 2020, so there was that. But gimmick-wise, he didn't really change massively. So maybe they just got tired of it. Strange one. I mean, subsequently WWE went on to release him, so
it was kind of more watered down, not deliberately so, but you know, when you consider like they introduced him like having a buddy in Alexa and being vulnerable to fire and RKOs, which naturally all of us are. I don't know. I can see why it. One point, so I kind of get it.
Okay. Well, yeah. So there you go. That was A2theK's little known fact of the week, and this is Road Dogg to sing us out.
Oh, you didn't know?
Oh yeah. So Anthony, it's that time. It's time to do This Week in Wrestling. And it's time to kick things off with WWE. So let's head over to Monday Night Raw and chat about our first highlight this week. So for me, the first highlight is AJ and Omos appear to be splitting up, Anthony. I spoke about this. It was it's on my wish list for this year to happen. And based on the end of Raw. Well, not the end, but the end of their match on Raw this week. It seems that's going to be the case. Omos walked off in a little bit of a hissy fit, and AJ was like, "Omos, no, don't go." And I was like, "Yes, no, never come back." No kid. Omos is obviously mega monster guy, but AJ is wasted in the tag team division, I think, and should be doing more. So
Omos is mega monster guy. I totally disagree with that. I would sum him
Okay.
up as tall fella. He hasn't done anything else.
Yeah,
Anyway.
okay, I'll take that. Tall lad almost. TLO, that's what we can call him. But
His skills are summed up by being able to reach shit off the top shelf. That's about it. I've not seen him do anything in the ring.
although to be fair, you've gotta respect that. I mean, I know I do. Supermarkets and stuff, shelves. Yeah, they come in handy.
Only reason I'm throwing shade, Carl, because we're both short asses, really, especially in comparison to him. So,
well,
yeah,
me
don't
more
like
so than you, but still,
don't like him.
yeah. I think it's a good thing if they actually follow through with it. Because AJ deserves to be doing something more than this. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. So for him to be floundering in a non-existent tag team division in WWE isn't the best use for him, in my opinion. So if they break up, then good news as far as I'm concerned. So highlight from me.
Okay. My next one, fairly short and sweet, Carl, because nothing you wouldn't expect. I've got to give a highlight to The Miz and Edge and their promo work. Can't fault them. Honestly, not a feud I thought I would be into. Just in the sense of somebody's like, who do you want Edge to fight next? It was never going to be The Miz on my list, I'll be honest with you. But they're drawing me in, and they're working well together. And I'm actually looking forward to where this is headed. And again, I think they killed it this week, just like they've killed it before.
It's a very good point there. I think, obviously, when Edge came back, we were like, if only he'd work with someone like Seth Rollins. I was like, that's happened. We had Orton, we had Rollins, and then it's like The Miz. But yeah, to be fair, these two have been killing it. Excellent promos in their own right, and I think that has shone through. So if they can have something, in the ring that emulates how good they've been on the mic, then I think it'll be a pretty decent feud.
In some senses, I don't know how you feel about this, but it's nice to see The Miz doing something that's not goofy skits and stuff like that. He's very good at the goofy stuff. I'm not saying they have to get rid. He's good at what he does in terms of being that comic foil. But and this might be an over exaggeration when I say it, but he was on the verge of becoming the R-Truth type character. And it's no disrespect to R-Truth when I say this, but R-Truth is at a point now where he's the one they wheel out when they want a bit of comedy.
Yeah. But
The Miz has worked his ass off to be a really great wrestler, and it's nice to see him get back into something that is going to display that skill,
Yeah, definitely agree with you. No, it's a weird one because obviously Morrison got released, as Edge referenced the previous week on Raw, which a mixed reception on that. But no, it is nice for The Miz to be, I'd almost say back where he belongs, but literally he won the WWE title not too long ago, so he's not really had that much of a fall from grace. Obviously, that was a big shocking moment because no one expected it. But
but it was only a shocking moment. It was done to hand over the belt to someone else, wasn't it? Which again was annoying in itself. But
yeah. But no, agree with everything you said. I think this is shaping up to be something nice, if not unexpected. And I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes as well. So, yeah, agree. Highlight from us. The next one to talk about the main event of Raw. It delivered, in my opinion. Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch. However many years it was. Forgive me, I forget the how long it was, but
7.
obviously, well, since Trish and Lita, so probably a bit more than 7.
I decided 7. It's a good number.
We'll go with 7. Why not? But yeah, the kind of time from when Lita and Trish main evented on that Raw, which was a groundbreaking moment for the women's division all them years ago. We get obviously. Part of me wants to think they didn't just put these two together because Becky's a ginge and Liv is blonde. It was like, yeah, let's do that again. But no, for me, I've been saying for ages that Liv Morgan is a future champ, and I'm made up that she is in this position, and I think that she can absolutely get that belt at some point, and hopefully soon. And fair play to Becky. I think she is a big advocate of Liv behind the scenes, and so. Whether she requested this, whether it's WWE's doing, I'm not too sure. But, match-wise, it definitely delivered. And, the finish was what it was. I'm not a fan of these little, I'm just going to hold the rope, but not really get any leverage, but I'm just going to hold the rope. What I'm like, you know what I'm like about pins.
I do know what you like about pins.
So, there you go. You need to absolutely be trying your best to kick out of it, but also just holding the rope doesn't give you any advantage. If you're holding the rope and using it as leverage, it does. But when Becky just goes, I'm holding the rope now on 2.5, doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that aside, I think it was a really good main event, and I'm proud of Liv for getting that main event moment, and hopefully she can get there. And
I love it. I love the sentiment. Liv, if you're listening, we're proud of you.
There's two old farts from the wrestling podcast world. We're proud of you, kid. But no, definitely, I think day one, it seems like they've announced now it's going to be a rematch. So who knows? That could be the moment. Hopefully they do pull the trigger on it, because I think she deserves it. She's had so many, near chances with it all, and it's never kind of come through. So
she's going to shock the world in the rematch. She's going to get her in 23 seconds.
Nah, they haven't done that in about a week. So, highlight from me.
That's fair. So, Carl, I'd like to say a nice warm welcome back to NXT. They've made a highlight this week, and I've said a few times I've sort of remained on the fence with 2.0 because it's still finding its feet as a reshaped brand. However, this week we had Takeover, not just Takeover, we had the last Takeover, as they're now abandoning that name usage, evidently, which is a shame in a sense. I'd love to know how you feel about that. But as far as highlights go, Carl, we had Takeover War Games, and my main highlights coming from this is going to be the actual men's War Game match. It was honestly, overall, it was a great fun match. I love the aspect of doing the old black and gold versus the new up and comers. I like the fact that they booked it well enough that everyone sort of got their moments and got their sort of bit of time, if you will, in the spotlight. And honestly, how can you not appreciate the sort of send off really for Gargano, who I'm not even sure if it's still fully confirmed at this point, but it seems almost conclusive that he was going. I mean, this was very much like a goodbye. And yeah, how can you not just thoroughly enjoy this match overall? So it's got to be a highlight this week.
Yeah, I think I will agree in terms of obviously the match itself. I think I agree everybody got a moment to shine, which is important. Gargano, obviously, for everything he's done for that company over the last few years, absolutely wonderful send-off for him. For me, the only kind of downside to it all was it was a bit on the nose, wasn't it? It was like NXT 2.0 is better than the gold one, and we're going to just do that via a War Games match, and that's how you'll know.
I know what you mean. But at the same time, I prefer, even if it's on the nose, I prefer that to, here's a pointless match we've slapped together.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, you guys hate each other now for no reason. Off you pop. Yeah. So I'm like, I just like the fact that there was almost a reason for the battle, if you will. So I do appreciate that it is fairly on the nose. But I don't know, it's better than having, as we've saw with Survivor Series, it's better than having no reason at all.
Yeah, very fair point, to be fair, especially with Survivor Series. It does make sense. Obviously, the rookies trying to go up against the veterans almost. Take away the NXT and the NXT 2.0. It is rookies against veterans, and the rookies pulled out the win. So obviously, they're trying to highlight.
So playing the stepdad to everyone.
Obviously, crazy bearded stepdad. But yeah, obviously, we had to highlight the future's bright. Otherwise, yeah.
Oh, it's bright as fuck. Neon colours everywhere.
Everywhere. Everyone's got them on. But yeah, no, I agree. I think it deserves to be a highlight this week, and fair play. Shame for the last ever takeover. I mean...
Yeah, sorry, I did want to get your thoughts on that. I mean, you're an NXT OG in a lot of senses. Like, you've sort of fallen out with it in later years because it's not the NXT you knew. And part of that was Takeover. So how do you feel about like them abandoning the Takeover name?
How about I let you know in the Oh Shites?
Yeah, okay.
Because it's on there, I tell you.
Is it?
So
have we put it on?
It is.
Well, yeah, it is.
So I think we'll talk about it then.
Okay, I'll give you that. I
do have some things. Do have some things to say. But Anthony, the final highlight I want to talk about this week is we're going to head over to SmackDown. It's the final highlight, and it's the only highlight of SmackDown. And again, it is Brock Lesnar, Sami Zayn, and Paul Heyman. So, it's fantastic. Brock Lesnar is a fucking national treasure. I'm going to put it out there.
Honest to God, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, right? Because they're keeping Brock around, but it's still, like, if they'd have just kept Brock around in the same way they had him, he rocks up, beats people up, and Paul talks for him, it'd have probably been really stale. I love what they're doing with him right now. I
mean, to be fair, though, right, you've got to wonder, haven't you? Like, we're seeing a hell of a lot more of Brock, I'm seeing a hell of a lot of less people that have been released from their contracts. Like, does he really cost that much per appearance? You know, normally he will rock up a couple of times a year, and it's like now he's on fucking every week pretty much, and it's good. But at the same time, is that because now they can afford him?
I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
And if that's the case, we need the Beast Slayer back. Jesus Christ. Can't afford to keep losing people.
Well, exactly. But no, I think we're going to get on to in the Oh Shites what it means to have a Romanless SmackDown. But, you know, considering Roman was not at the show this week, I think they did very well, you know, in this aspect with Paul Heyman and with Brock and that intrigue, and, you know, it adds more layers to that story of like, well, why was Paul Heyman out there with Brock when Roman wasn't there? And it's like, oh, is that because there is something going on and stuff? Like, obviously we're going to revisit that, it's not done. So that was nice, and then obviously Sami Zayn has been fantastic in his little role that he's had with Brock.
I go slightly away from the Sami Zayn stuff, sorry, but I love the fact that like Paul Heyman is like in the attitude that this storyline would have existed, but Paul Heyman would have been a blonde with big tits. Like, I love the fact that it's essentially the same storyline. They're fighting over Paul, right? And it doesn't matter at all. The storyline still fucking works. It's brilliant.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a brunette with big tits, so it works. So I have to give the highlight to this segment on SmackDown this week.
Nice, totally agree. You're the Oh Shites as well, Carl. You've booked it so that you do the next talking as well.
I just like the sound of my own voice so much, but I also, you know what I like more than the sound of my own voice is bad mouth and Big E. So I'm going to do that again this week. What the fuck was this promo that he did? Now, the graphic on the screen actually shows the match between him and Kevin Owens, which was okay. It wasn't good enough to get a highlight, but it wasn't bad enough to get an shite. You know, as far as opening the show with a steel cage match, you would expect it to be a highlight.
So you're saying AO was okay?
Hey. So, yeah, it was alright. But what wasn't okay was Raw actually kicked off this week with a bunch of promos. Now, it gave me a very old school feel, which I'm a big fan of, as you know, early 90s. That's how they used to do a lot of kind of match building and stuff like that. So they started off that way, except Big E did a Booker T promo. I shit you not. He actually said the words, "You gotta feel that, sucker." And I was like, are you shitting me? What are they doing? What are they doing?
This, to me, highlights the problem that you've said from the off, that we don't have an issue with Big E, right? And he so deserves to be in the position he's in. But at the same time, he hasn't really got a character. And I think this just... You've said this before, but I think this sort of highlights that, because it's like, I'll just keep borrowing from other stuff until I find something.
It couldn't be more on the nose if they tried. Like, what even was that? The next thing he's going to do a fucking spinneroonie.
I'd love to know if Booker T digged it.
I mean, to be fair, you know, weirdly, I've not seen it referenced a lot on the IWC. No one's really kind of come out and being like, oh, that was a Booker T thing. But it was there, man. It was a fucking rip-off. It was there. I saw it. You all saw it.
You're going to get a load of heat now. Oh, right, so you can't say sucker. So, like, Booker T's just the only one who can say sucker. You're going to get a load of shit for that.
Well, you can give me shit 5 times, sucker, but it's still Booker T's thing. So if Big E's going to steal his shit...
They'll call it now, and then next week, Big E will rock up with dreadlocks, and everyone will be like, shit, yeah, okay, he's Booker T.
But, like, the thing is, I fucking love Booker T. Booker T was fantastic. The problem is, I want to love Big E so much, but he's nothing. He doesn't know who he is. I say it every week. He's literally coming out and being this weird, like, New Day cast-off that, like, says random shit and gyrates and stuff, and it's like, he's our world champion. Really? Yeah. Really?
But this, I mean, I think this has always been the problem. Like, we can't take him, we still can't take him seriously. Like, and that's why Roman is the only thing that you can book right at the minute. I'm
going to make a terrible comparative that will get people coming at me, right?
Oh, go on.
Big E to me right now is if they would have put the title on fucking what's his face. This is a terrible moment because I forgot his name. Who's the guy who did the web? It's not Tucky. What's he called? Well, the guy.
Otis.
Otis. Yeah, right. Big E is Otis right now.
You know what? Like, we might get some hate for that one, but I totally agree. Like, it's like they've gone, oh, the fans love him. And the fans loved Otis just like the fans love Big E. And we do love Big E, but they weren't fleshed out enough to be a world champion. Not yet. No. And I was hopeful when he went into that program with Roman for Survivor Series. I was hopeful they're going to try and build him up. They're going to try and book this right. And I thought they were making the right steps, but they still don't really know what they want him to be.
No. So, yeah, bad times.
Speaking of bad times, my next one, Carl, and I feel like I've said this before, and I'm going to be clear about this, that I've not an issue with women's wrestling. I have not got an issue with women's tag team wrestling, right? But I do have an issue with the women's tag team fucking titles and the women's tag team division, because there fucking isn't one. Like, the women's division has been killing it on WWE, and you know we said very early on in AEW, like, WWE have got the better women's division. Like, AEW are making some fantastic fucking strides now, and we are slowly getting to a point, and this might be a bit of a polarizing one, where I'm actually starting to prefer the women's division over in AEW, even though it's smaller, because how many wrestlers can you list right now in AEW, women's wrestlers, Carl, who you think are fucking brilliant?
A lot, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm all for women's tag titles, except every time they've had anything close to a decent tag team, they've split it up or messed it up in some way. Look at like the Riot Squad, for example. Like, I don't know, they've ruined their own tag division. There was a time you can go, we've got the Riot Squad, we've got the Iconics. You know, we had whatever Natalia was doing at that point, tag team with somebody. Even like Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax wasn't. You know, you end up learning to love it. You know what I mean? And now we've got basically nothing. We've got literally 2 teams, and it's just like, what's the point? Like, yeah. And I said this, right? That
you did.
The women's tag titles should have been across all 3 brands.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it needed to be. And we've got women's tag titles on NXT and women's tag titles on the main roster. So women's tag scene on NXT, like, they've literally, who have they got to go up against? Not really anyone at the moment. And the same thing in the main roster division. Yeah, fuck it, we'll go with that. Yeah, just, I need to moan about it, because it could be great. It's not about, a lot of people, if anyone listens to our show properly, they'll know that we're big fans of women's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it could be great if they actually, you know, cared. But it's not even like a women exclusive thing. Let's be honest, WWE don't really care about tag team titles anyway.
WWE doesn't understand tag team wrestling. They literally just throw 2 people together and say they're a tag team now. Like, Rhea Ripley and fucking Nikki ASH as a tag team, right? Okay. Yeah. You know, you can get it slightly more for Zelina and Carmella, maybe, but it's just a mismatch of people that they throw together who they got nothing for.
And the annoying thing is, because they've thrown it together and they weren't people you'd put together, you always get that trope of like, oh, can they coexist? And that's getting on my nerves now as well.
Well, exactly. But like, to your point though, like, it's not just exclusive to the women's division. Like, this is the main Oh Shite this week. But look at the main roster as well. There's hardly any real tag teams who look like tag teams. You know, AEW off. You know, 3 off the top of your head. You've got Young Bucks. You've got Lucha Bros. You've got FTR. You've got shitloads. Varsity Blondes. You've got
some sort of combination of the Dark Order.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many actual tag teams that look like tag teams, and you know, they're clear.
I know I will agree, that's a massive bugbear when they put them together and they don't even try and look at like how in like Big Show and Jericho should never have really worked as a tag team. They went all in with that. They had their own theme music together and everything. They went all in with that.
Because you know for a fact in the writers' room they went, right, to come up with ideas, Jericho, Big Show, Jerry Show, tag team, Chris Jericho, Big Show. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened, right? And then you look and like, you know, a team we didn't even name, the Acclaimed. How fucking good are the Acclaimed? Like, it's night and day, you know, tag team wise. Even in AEW, you've got, you know, Tay Conti and Anna Jay that, you know, get put together and stuff, and it's like they look and feel like a tag team.
Well, that's the thing. When they get put together, they go, well, let's coexist. So then you get the name. Obviously, it's as simple as TJ, but it works. They try and sort of thematically look like they are a team, and it just works better. But look at, like, again, the parallel with WWE of going, well, Shayna and Nia are a team, but you wouldn't know unless they're actually in a match, because they don't try and be a team.
I mean, put it this way.
They coexist? Who knows?
Think of all the greatest tag teams over the years, like the Legion of Doom, the Natural Disasters, Demolition, the Dudley Boys.
Dudley Boys.
They've got tag team names. It's not this wrestler and this wrestler, and that's what this is. It's Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH. It's Zelina Vega and Carmella, because they're thrown together. They're not a tag team.
Honestly, I'm starting to think WWE have probably got a bigger history of getting a tag team and then splitting them up than they have of actually making good tag teams.
Yeah.
Thinking of Dudley Boys as an example, because they were a tag team before WWE was split up.
Reverend Devon.
Then they were like, Devon, you should be a reverend. Bubba, you should go over there.
A new follow-on T-shirt from Get Push Change Release should be fucking something around, tag team, split up, fucking bury, and then release, because that is the formula for the tag team division.
Or, right, you go, right, so we've got Heavy Machinery, that that whole redneck style that we go back to every once in a while. That's working. People are loving it. People are really loving that Otis fella. Let's give him a singles run. Actually, that didn't work, but we've sacked his mate, so let's just team him with Shorty G. Let's team him with Shorty G. We'll make a new team. And you know what? Fair play to them. I'm not even trying to insult them too much. They're trying to make that shit work.
Yeah.
But that was just a random pairing as well, because basically they were like, well, sorry, Otis, we got rid of Tucker.
Yeah.
Fucking disgraceful tag divisions. Anyway.
It is. So, yeah.
So, as I was saying, that's an shite.
Yeah, the whole tag division in WWE is an shite. So, the next one to talk about, we're going to go back over to NXT. And people who watch this show or listen to this show know that it ain't my forte. So I will wax lyrical about any chance I get to badmouth NXT, and this is a great example. So we had Duke Hudson taking on Cameron Grimes in a hair versus hair match. And what I got to ask is, but why? Why did it have to happen?
That's the simple answer. The simple question, even, because there's only ever one good hair match, Carl, and that was Kurt Angle versus Edge.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I will have to fight the corner for Mighty Molly or Molly Holly in this instance, because fair play to her. Fucking hell.
No, I admire Molly's drive to get women featured on WrestleMania. I admire that. But the actual hair versus hair match, there's only ever been one good hair versus hair match. It was Kurt versus Edge.
Okay.
Look at the mileage they got out of that. Kurt played that for fucking months afterwards.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, Kurt's a ledge, isn't he?
He is an absolute ledge.
But yeah, no, I think, hair versus hair matches or hair versus mask matches, whatever, they're a long story tradition in the wrestling world. And to your point, they're usually not very good. But this one, the whole story is built behind, I just don't get it. I've never really got it. It's like, well, Cameron Grimes, yeah, you look like a bit of a scruff. You're a millionaire, and then you weren't, and then now you want to date people, but you don't look like you're good enough to date people. So I don't know. Let's make a match where maybe you'll get your hair shaved. And
then they don't even do it to Cameron.
Exactly, and it's like, what is the point of it? I don't.
It was pointless anyway, and the guy you think was going to get it done to him didn't even fucking get it done.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the whole thing's pointless. I can talk a lot about Cameron Grimes. Yeah. Like, there's something in there, but it's just, it hasn't been coming out. We'll say that. So, yeah.
And honestly, like, they feel even more pointless when you've been watching wrestling as long as us, and you know that nature always wins when it comes to a hair versus hair match.
Well, exactly.
Like, we can see Shawn, we can see Triple H. Like, they lost, man. They lost bad.
I love that. Yeah.
I'm afraid I'm going to stick with NXT, Carl, for the Oh Shites. And I feel bad because the first time we talked about them in a few weeks, and more of them are Oh Shites. But, you've got to call a spade, as the old term goes, I suppose. And it'd be no surprise, because I think last time I mentioned him, it was an Oh Shite as well. And it was Joe Gacy versus Roderick Strong. And the reason it's an Oh Shite is because these two actually could work well together. And to be fair to Joe Gacy, I'm not totally complaining about him. He's a good in-ring worker. These two could have had a really good match. But the whole thing is plagued by this just really poor sort of gimmick that Joe Gacy's got, and this whole thing they've got with Haaland. It's not working. It's certainly not. Well, I can't say that generally. I'm not speaking for every fan. It's not working for me, and therefore I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I will agree. I'm big intrigued by Haaland. I think he could be something very big in the future, but he's very green at the same time. But Joe Gacy, but Joe Gacy on the other hand, I'm not feeling it. I don't think a lot of people are really. And this match did just kind of feel like, okay.
I feel like, and this might be a bit dramatic, I feel like Joe Gacy's gimmick is so bad that this might fuck his career straight out the gate.
Well, man, don't be so woke about it. It's cool.
Just the minute he's there, like, this is a safe space, and they're trying to be so fucking political about that kind of mentality. It's like, now he's going to be plagued with that shit now. Like, and it might be over dramatic, but he's going to have some time away and gets completely retooled.
Maybe. I mean, how can you retool a tool? So the next one to talk about. So it's interesting this. So we've got it down in the notes. It's the last ever takeover. I actually don't even think this was a takeover. I think the last ever
takeover War Games. You know.
I don't think this one was.
I'm gonna you carry on. I'm gonna Google that while you.
I could be wrong, but
I'm hoping you are.
The sentiment rings true. I think whether this was the last takeover or whether the last takeover was before this one, as someone who has loved NXT, in the older times, I think it's a weird thing to think that they won't be running any more takeovers anymore. So, in terms of what that means, whether it's just the frequency of them, whether it's, they're only gonna do events kind of coinciding with big pay-per-views like WrestleMania and so on and so forth, remains to be seen. But yeah, I think War Games as a concept, it was nice to bring it back a couple of years ago. Whether or not it's still relevant now, I'm not sure.
I'm going to have to give it to you there, Carl. So this was the first War Games to not feature the takeover name. I am completely wrong. The artwork, as you'll... Hang on. I can't see my own camera because I'm looking at my notes. Bear with me. You'll see here on my phone. Hang on, I'm over here.
Yep.
No mention of takeover. And I know I'm relying on Wikipedia, but it says here that this was the first event not to carry the NXT takeover name since running from 2017 to 2020. And it used to be Takeover War Games, and now it's just War Games. And so this was not the last takeover. You're quite right. I've incorrectly said that all during this podcast because I was utterly convinced it was. So there you go.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's still an oh shite because I miss it. I miss takeover. Well, it's a thing. If it made it feel like it was the underdogs like taking over and getting that screen time and stuff, and now it's like, well, they've pretty much already admitted they're back down to being a fucking development territory. And it's like now they don't even get the chance to take over. It's just they've got.
This might actually add to that oh shite, to be honest, because I was embracing that this was the last takeover, and it fucking wasn't. That's how
even
good
more
the last takeover didn't even show much impact. What's that about?
What? So what was the last takeover? Karrion Kross and Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I guess so.
Okay. So yeah, the last takeover was shit, and the first takeover, less NXT. Pay-per-view. That wasn't a pay-per-view.
I love the fact we still go War Games.
Yeah,
you do it better, but there you go.
I mean, we just need William Regal on the show just to do that every time we talk about it. So just wanted to throw that out there. Takeover is gone and it's bad time.
Agreed.
Speaking of bad times, Anthony, do you want to regale us with the final oh shite this week?
Yeah. Again, I don't think this needs to be a particularly long one, Carl. Because I know you're keen to talk about the news, I can see it in you. But I've got to mention this one, Carl, and I think everyone can agree, worldwide, across the board, that a Roman-less SmackDown is not a good SmackDown. And I think this week proved that it just doesn't... We had one decent highlight. Don't get me wrong, there's not a great deal of oh shites either, but we had one decent highlight coming from it, and that was still kind of around Roman, but we didn't have Roman. And here's a guy who used to hate Roman ever since he won the Royal Rumble without barely fucking being in it. I didn't like the guy, right? But he's been a fantastic heel and one of the best things in WWE at the moment, or if not the best thing in WWE at the moment. And you really do notice his absence.
Yeah, yeah, genuinely, you really do. SmackDown just sucks when he's not on the show. Unfortunately, as it is, Drew McIntyre, who I absolutely love, isn't doing great things right now. And like even the main event this week, it was like a 3-way tag team match with RK Bro, New Day, and Was it Street Profits? I can't even remember who the fuck it was who was in it. But why? It didn't really matter. Who cares? They brought over RK Bro for no reason to be in there. Without any explanation again, really. So it's just like, yeah, I don't get it. So, yeah, I concur. SmackDown without Roman Reigns is a bad time. So, Anthony, ratings for WWE this week. I'm going to give it number 2. 2 out of 5.
I'd probably agree with you. Got to be a 2. I kind of maybe wants to go maybe a 2.5. I was debating it slightly because of the War Games stuff and the Gargano stuff. But then I look at Raw and I didn't really pull much I liked from Raw. And the only real thing I liked from SmackDown was Brock, as you say. So there's just not a lot to pull from WWE at the minute. So yeah, it's got to be a 2. Okay.
Glad we agree. So let's kick it over to AEW with the first highlight. What a polarizing thing to see. CM Punk comes out and cuts a heel promo in Long Island. It's obviously MJF's hometown. Conversely, MJF comes out to cheers and everybody absolutely loving him. Kind of felt a bit like an alternate universe. Felt like a bit of an episode of A2theK's What If you will.
What if, Carl?
Highlights because it reminded us that CM Punk can cut a hell of a heel promo. He was ruthless, wasn't he? He was so bad going after the crowd and stuff like that. Maybe one too many hockey references. Anyone who doesn't watch the NHL,
he does like his hockey.
Loves his hockey, loves his Blackhawks, but still, that reminded us that CM Punk can be a prick, and that's a good thing. It's good to know. But weirdly, seeing MJF as a face. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. No, I wasn't. I wasn't digging it. He was still MJF in the best way, but just everyone cheering him and stuff, and him kind of, I don't know. I just don't like him coming across as a face, to be fair. But despite the whole, Freaky Friday element to it all, ultimately it kept it building the hype for their rivalry, which is the main thing. So, despite obviously MJF going into the Diamond Ring thing, but
okay, so. I know this is a highlight, Carl. I do have to say one thing. And this isn't... I'm not being overly negative here. But I just want to point something out. Daniel Bryan turned heel a lot more impactfully and a lot better than Punk did.
Well. Let me counter that. And let me tell you. CM Punk has not turned heel. This was only because it was in Long Island. So I fully expect...
You can't be a dick for 1 week. I'm not being funny.
I mean, you can. I mean, I liken it to when Brett went to Canada, when he was doing that weird thing he was doing. Where in Canada he was loved, in the US he was hated. So for me, you've got the good guy going to the bad guy's hometown. The bad guy is super over in his hometown, so it was.
I'll accept that this might not be a permanent thing, but even so, the comparison is there for me that Daniel Bryan straight out of nowhere went and cut a heel promo. Mm-hmm. Punk's done the same thing, whether it's going to stick as a heel or not, and I think Bryan did it better. And I'm not insulting Punk at all. It still deserves to be a highlight. He's still very good at it. I just think, whilst the comparison is there, I want to make it clear that Bryan did it better. Much like his whole career.
Here we go. Anti-Punk guy coming back. No, to be fair, I have to counter it a bit because, I just think he was very much cutting a heel promo on Long Island. So it's not like he's come out and just completely changed tact. Whereas Daniel Bryan came out and was like...
You hate Long Island as well?
Yeah, fuck those guys. No, I don't. Of course I don't. I mean, they're not as good as New Jersey, especially North Bergen, New Jersey, who are big fans of the show, as we know. Right. But yeah, so I think obviously, he came out and he was going to get booed. Obviously, MJF is massive in Long Island. He is Long Island. So... this was expected. It was a very polarizing thing to see, but I actually think they handled it quite well. Like Punk was very much just kind of like he didn't.
I'm not insulting it.
No, but I think like Daniel Bryan came out. Like a lot of people will argue the reverse, so I'm kind of agreeing with you in a way. A lot of people will argue the reverse and say Daniel Bryan.
Feel like it.
Well, just hear me out. Like a lot of people will say like Daniel Bryan just turned heel like on a flip of a coin out of nowhere, and it was like, well, why is he a bad guy now? That makes no sense. Whereas CM Punk came out and he wasn't a bad... He hasn't turned heel. He's just basically going, look, you guys are cheering this dickhead. Like, I get that he's from your hometown, but he's a prick. That makes you pricks. So
he's not a heel. He just really hates Long Island. You've got to give him some vices.
Yeah, but he doesn't hate Long Island. He's more like looking at the audience, going, "You are cheering this fucking absolute despicable human being in MJF. Like, what does that make you guys?" And like the Long Island fans are like, "Well, fuck you. We love that guy." So yeah. So
but you don't go after their hockey, man. That's not cool.
Well, yeah, that's funny. But yeah, so I don't know. I thought it was.
I needed to mention it. It's definitely a highlight. I'm not disputing the fact that it should be a highlight. It is definitely a highlight. I don't know. I'm on Team Brian. That's all I'm saying.
Damn. Okay. Can't wait till these two face off.
Yeah, well, these two motherfuckers will face off at some point. So I'm establishing it now. I'm on Team Brian when that happens.
I love the next highlight that we're about to move on to that I've stitched you up with here.
You bastard.
Tell us, Anthony.
No, I do kind of agree for one very big reason. So I read this before I saw it, right? And I think mentioned to you before I had any real context. I knew this match was going to happen, and I wasn't pleased. And this was the fact that we now have the announcement that Cody Rhodes, I have to put Rhodes in there in case you weren't sure which Cody it was, is going to be facing Sammy Guevara for the TNT title on a Christmas Day, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I was disappointed when I read it because I was like, I think I even said to you, Cody, he overbooks everything and he's probably going to make himself win. I'm not for it. This pisses me off. I'm really big on Sammy being a TNT title holder. I want him to hold it a bit longer, etc., etc. However, if we get a Cody that actually turns fucking heel, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. I don't want him to beat Sammy, but if it means that Cody is going to acknowledge that he doesn't work as a fucking face, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah. It feels to me very much like this is the setup for that. So when Cody came out, when Sammy was cutting that little promo, I was like, oh shit, he is going full heel in front of our eyes. We are getting what we want. Like, I legitimately think, and I will call it now, he is going to beat Sammy on Christmas Day and people are going to fucking fume. Cody is going to ruin Christmas. I tell you right now, that's what's going to happen. But, right, my prediction, and you can call me on this, right?
Go on.
The very first Dynamite that ever happened, I watched it right here on this couch with my little boy. We watched it. I've got a video of him watching this opening match.
I really hope you met your son when you said that.
Yep, this little guy right here. Yes, my son. We watched it together, the very first episode. I've got a little video of it, and the first match was Sammy Guevara taking on Cody fucking Rhodes. So wouldn't it be the perfect bookend for when Dynamite has its final run on TNT? And this is so fucking poetic. It's exactly what Tony would do, right? Wouldn't it be so poetic if Cody beats Sammy on Christmas Day, and then the very final episode of Dynamite on TNT, the main event, bookending the fuck out of that show on TNT, is Cody versus Sammy Guevara for that TNT title, with Sammy winning it for a second time. Book it. That's what I'm saying. Any questions?
You're a bookend.
No, that's probably what Big E's new move's going to be, because. But still,
love it. No, as I say, it deserves to be a highlight. I don't mind being the one who has to talk about it. I will wait with bated breath to see what happens here, and I sincerely hope that I'm not bothered about who wins, but if Cody wins this and is still too tone deaf to understand that he should have been a heel to do it, I'm going to be so pissed off.
Why is everyone booing me? I don't understand.
It's like, I'm your hero.
as someone brings him out a crown and a big fucking, Uncle Sam jacket, and he smokes a cigar, Okay.
Living in America. It's like, yeah, I just, I'll wait and see. But this week, the way it was put across, I do agree with you. It feels like we might be getting it booked the right way. So I'm going to give it a highlight. I think it deserves that.
Fingers crossed. Next highlight I want to talk about, Jamie Hayter taking on Rio. This was so good, You've got to give Rio a shitload of credit, right? It's so good to have her back.
It is. Do you know what? I think I said it previous weeks, maybe even last week, but Rio was just somebody I had absolutely I only know her from AEW. and we didn't see a lot of it. So I just couldn't appreciate it. So many people were big on it, and she won, obviously, the women's title. It's the first one to hold the women's title, and I was like, wow, it's a lot of faith to put in it. I have no idea who she is. And, yeah, like you say, surprisingly, it shouldn't be surprising. If you follow New Japan, it wouldn't be. But for me, surprisingly good, Like, fair enough, I get why they see so much in it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think as well, this was probably Jamie Hayter's best match that she's had so far. It was just really, really good. It was the perfect chemistry, I think, between the two of them. It's so good when you see two wrestlers that have got fantastic chemistry together, and I think these two delivered on that front. It was a classic kind of underdog versus monster heel kind of match. And so, yeah, I think Hayter looked fantastic, and I'm made up that we've got Rio back, and hopefully she's featured more prominently on the show. So, highlights from me.
Yeah. Next one, Carl. Hopefully you agree. I think you'll agree because I think you're digging all this at the minute. But, moving back over to Team Bryan, we had Daniel Bryan versus
No, we didn't.
Long John Silver.
We didn't have Daniel Bryan, Anthony.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't. He's not real. He's not real to you, damn it.
The American Dragon versus Silver. There you go. Yeah. Overall, I really like. For starters, this in itself was a good match, And last week he had a really good match with Johnny Hungy Carl. Sorry, don't want to disrespect his nickname for you there, right? But I actually really like this whole thing that they're doing. I think this is a really good way of executing him versus Hangman without just sort of. Because I think the trouble AEW have got is that they want to hold matches for like big pay-per-views or even just big weeks of Dynamite, but they're so few and far between. Like we're used to, like when you look at other shows like WWE, we're used to like a pay-per-view every month, and I understand they want to hold a match for maybe a pay-per-view or something like that, and sometimes it's just too long, and you'd run out of sort of steam almost with what to do. But I love the fact that because and I don't know if I assume they did it deliberately over time, but like. Hangman's never really been a part of the Dark Order, but he's always had that friendship, and they were always trying to recruit him, and he's always been sort of involved in that way. So the fact that Danielson is working his way through the Dark Order, I just think works perfectly for this whole thing. I mean, we had not only the fact that, Danielson's playing the heel fantastically well, he wasn't just happy to get the win, he had to kick his head in, which is his thing. And then obviously Hangman could then get involved and make the save, and it just keeps their sort of rivalry going without it just being promo or a bit of a scuffle, or you know what I mean. I don't know. I'm really enjoying the way they're building this because I'm so hyped for them to have a match, but at the same time, everything leading up to it's just been great fun.
Oh yeah, I'm a massive fan of the whole thing. I think it's a fantastic.
But you're on
way.
Team Punk.
I never said that.
You just said Punk's better. Punk's a way better heel than Daniel will ever been. That's I think what you said.
Listen, where are you from? Let me cut promo on your hometown. I'm still a good guy though. Right. I am a huge fan of this. I think Daniel. It's your fault. Bryan Danielson has been fantastic in this whole thing. I love the way he's just absolutely decimating Dark Order. Now, interestingly, Hangman came out on I think it was Renee Paquette's show, basically saying that he wants to be more of a fighting champion, and he hasn't had a match since he won the belt, so it's a bit weird for him. So that was an interesting take, but at the same time, I like the fact that they've kept Bryan Danielson away from him by kind of going this route of picking apart the Dark Order to prep for him or whatever, basically. So it's a weird one. Like, I don't know why Hangman hasn't had any matches in this time, but I do love what Danielson's doing and kind of picking apart the Dark Order, and Hangman coming out, and like effectively their match is booked and set for tonight. I actually can't wait for it. But yeah, I think
is there a match tonight?
It is. Winter is coming, Anthony. Winter is coming. Is Wyndham coming? That's the other question.
You know what? Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I love the graphic. Have we got any rumours to suggest that, have we? Or?
No rumours, just pure speculation, I think. And probably pure disappointment, because it probably won't happen. But still, it sounds good. Wyndham is coming. Who knows? It could even be Kyle O'Reilly is coming, in which case, yeah.
I mean, honestly, I want to love AEW. I really do. But if Kyle O'Reilly turns up, the winter is coming. I can't defend that shit.
I mean,
that would be the most disappointing thing that could fucking happen.
They are destined to get the Undisputed Era back together. I
don't mind him turning up, but don't act like he's a big deal. No offense.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I'm on your side, but anyway, in terms of this particular thing, yeah, I can't agree more. I think Danielson has been on a fantastic kind of tear the last couple of weeks, just absolutely having fantastic matches. And Johnny Hungy is just fantastic. Obviously it was Alan Angels last week, and no disrespect to him, but Johnny Hungy delivered significantly more like I thought it would do. So great match. Obviously Hangman making the save at the end just continues their little rivalry as well. So yeah, agree 100%. So switching things up over to Rampage this week. Lucha Brothers, FTR, not too much to say about this. How can these two tag teams put on a bad match? They can't, simply put.
It's impossible.
Fantastic tag team action. Ray Phoenix, fucking the best wrestler probably in the world at the moment. Pentagon, amazing as well. FTR,
he's almost
one of the best
Lucha Ray that exists.
Oh,
that's right. Oh, that's right. That's it.
We went there. But no, yeah. So not too much to actually call out specifically, but just great tag team wrestling, something we don't see a lot of in other promotions. So yeah, great all around, I would say.
Do you know what? In a similar vein, Carl, my next one is actually sticking with Rampage, obviously. The women's 3v3.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst it's sort of tag team wrestling, I think, again, I always worry about matches with so many participants. I've said it many a time. It's something that I've seen, and this isn't exclusive to WWE, but I've seen a lot of promotions struggle to execute these without it feeling too messy. However, this match I really enjoyed this match, and I thought it was a great opportunity for some sort of pairings that you wouldn't typically get, if you know what I mean. So when you get the likes of Nyla and Anna Jay, for instance, and bits like that. Yeah, I think it was just a great display for all of them, and I think it worked for all of them as well. I think everyone got their time, and nothing felt a bit odd. The oddest thing about it, in all honesty, was probably the fact that Ruby Soho was the third member of Team TJ. For me, I hadn't really, that kind of come out of nowhere. But again, it was your typical good girls. Good girls. That feels weird saying it like that. Good guys versus bad guys. So yeah, it still worked, but that was probably the oddest thing in it. That it's like, well, why are these three? But
I can answer that. I can answer it. So I believe we are getting Ruby Soho versus Nyla Rose in the next round of the tournament eliminator, and I believe Nyla got Penelope Ford, and the buddy has basically paid them to be her extra pair of hands to beat the shit out of Ruby Soho, and then TJ made the save. That's the kind of setup for it.
Is the bunny sort of following husband in the paid for protection kind of
seems
approach?
To be, but so does
Butcher and Blade were originally MJF's protection, weren't they?
Yeah. So I mean, I think they're part of the HFO or whatever it's called, if that still even exists. I know Matt Hardy's having a bit of a gimmick change himself at the minute, isn't he? So
I don't even know what's happening with Matt Hardy anymore.
Oh, it's good news, Anthony. I don't think the HFO is going to carry on, which is great for all of us.
But
I think he's just going to be Matt Hardy.
If they acknowledge something isn't working and deal with that, I'm happy. But it was not working. Never worked.
It wasn't. But this match did, and I agree with you. I think, to your point, it is nice to see matchups that you wouldn't normally see. So, when would they ever book the likes of Nyla Rose versus Anna Jay, for example? But we got to see them in the ring together, which I thought was really good.
I think it's only fair to say that, again, Penelope Ford, anytime we get to see her wrestle, because she is amazingly talented, and we just haven't seen a great, well, certainly in the first year of AEW, we never saw a great deal of that. Anytime she's in a match, I think it's a great sort of display of what she can do. Future world champion, as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed. 100% agreed. And then the next one, and the final one. They sent in Hook, Anthony. They fucking sent him in. And holy shit, what a great debut for someone. I I legit thought he was a meme, right? We're on the Reddits, we're on the squared circles, right? And
we're down with the kids. We know what a meme is.
Hook is, the biggest meme of 2021 in terms of the wrestling community, in my opinion. But then, boy, did he prove these fans of him, who viewed him as a meme, absolutely fucking right. He was awesome. You know what?
I also, as you know, Carl, only found out this week that he's actually Taz's son.
I know, yeah. Like, Anthony was like, did you know this? I was like, okay, he's trolling me. Anthony likes to fucking take the piss a lot. And I was like, okay, he's taking the piss. But it was like, no, yeah. The more you know.
Like, I legit didn't know. It was a few times people were going, oh, is his father Taz? And I'm like, are they saying that like because he's like the leader of the group or something? I'm like, but they don't do that with anyone else, right?
No, Anthony,
I end up Googling it, and it's like, oh shit.
He's a reverend on the side. You don't know this? Father Taz?
Father Taz. So yeah. That added something to me because obviously he finished this match with the Taz mission.
He did. He did a lot of Taz moves. He did like the T-bone suplex stuff that Taz would do as well. So, but like my God, he was so good. He was so agile, and he was, I don't know what it was. It was almost like the only thing I can liken it to. And this is going to sound really weird. I don't mean it to sound derogatory to either party, but it was like when I first saw Ronda Rousey in WWE. I was just like, I wasn't expecting much, and I was like, holy shit. I think
that is a very fair comparison,
I was actually like, oh my God, like he's actually really good. So fair play to the guy. But another fun fact for you, Anthony. Do you want to know why it's called Hook?
Go on.
Because Taz is from the Red Hook section of Brooklyn, and that's how he's got his name.
I thought Taz was from Tasmania.
That was like the Tasmanian Devil character he did play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, see.
So yeah, so they sent in Hook.
I'm trying to think of a funny place now. Like it's a good job you went from this place, but I can't think of
one. Like Peen, Mississippi. Yeah, there you go. Yours is better. Anyway, yeah, so that was AEW this week.
I do need to ask you. Whoa.
No.
I to ask you one thing about the whole Hook situation.
Go on.
So, rightly so in a lot of senses, the fans are kind of giving themselves the credit for Hook being so over because he was a meme and he was pushed so readily by the fans. I want to know personally from you, Carl, who would you give the credit to for getting Hook over? Because I feel like the reason he exists as a meme is all thanks to CM Punk. The fans played their part, yes, but Punk started that. So does Punk get the credit for him being so over?
Oh, you're on Team Danielson.
I am. But no, I'm just curious because obviously it wouldn't have worked without the fans getting behind the meme. He wouldn't be so over, and it wouldn't have been a thing. But the reality is, Punk started that. So do we thank Punk for Hook being so over on his debut, or is this something that we give the fans credit for?
I don't know. Like, to be fair, I think it's probably fan generated. I think when he first came out, before Punk even arrived at the company, people were like, making jokes and stuff like, okay, yeah, he's going to be fucking this, that, and the other. So I think it started before then, but then obviously Punk tapped into that and tried to elevate it even further. As
far as memes go, people gravitated to the send in Hook thing, which is obviously the line from Punk. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's the point. I was just curious how you felt about it.
Yeah, no, I think he was starting to be a bit of a meme, and then Hook kind of tapped into that for that crowd pop. It was like, I'll say send in Hook, and people. You say
instead of like Punk being like cutting edge and one of the best things in wrestling, you're saying that he just jumps on the back of trends. Is that what you're saying?
No, he's not.
I can't believe you say something like that.
He's
live
straight edge. He's straight edge, not cutting edge.
Oh, my bad.
But yeah, so Anthony, that was AEW this week. I'm going to give it a 3. Now, I gave WWE a 2 this week, so people might be like, okay, I expected higher. Problem was, I think Rampage was fantastic, as it typically is. But Dynamite, even though it had some great bits overall, it felt like the pacing was just a little bit off this week. I don't really know what it was. It didn't feel like a very cohesive Dynamite, unfortunately. So, but there was no Oh Shites, and I think with just a little bit more kind of focus and some more high-profile matches on the show, it definitely would have elevated that score. But for me, it gets a 3.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you on a 3, to be honest. It definitely deserves a higher ranking than WWE as far as booking goes this week. However, it's not the strongest week we've ever had from AEW, and largely down to Dynamite, as you say. Rampage, I totally agree. Has been impressive since its inception. I think they're very careful because of the shorter time they've got, and it shows because it's booked solid most of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to agree with you on 3, mate. I can't argue with any part of that as much as I really, really want
to. So, a topic for another segment maybe, but I wonder whether the fact of people's attention spans being diminished to the point where we can't actually concentrate for 2 hours, let alone 3 hours, whether or not that has some kind of factor into why we think Rampage is awesome. But we'll get onto that.
Might be why we all think Hook's awesome as well. See, that's the guy from my phone.
He's right there. He's gone. Yeah, it's great. That was This Week in Wrestling. Nothing to cover from the other shows this week, unfortunately. But yeah, another fun-filled week. We are going to be covering the much-anticipated second annual A2theK award show this week.
Waiting for it. 10 to hook.
Yes, you have.
It's
we got
finally
some breaking news as well this week. Kevin Owens resigns with WWE, as well as some Ring of Honor stars that are potentially heading to AEW. So make sure you check out this week's Ringside Report. And we will be back with those segments after some words from the wonderful Thunder Rosa. Peace.
Hey everybody, this is Thunder Rosa and you're watching or listening A2theK. A2theK.
A2theK.